Hey there, welcome in and welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we are going to be doing the very anticipated backyard makeover part 2. So in the first part of the series, you saw some of my awesome designs in SketchUp that kind of mocked up the backyard in my wildest dreams. You saw us take out so many weeds, hack the ground, eventually get some professional help to put in grass, a beautiful lawn, to put in pavers, to just make it a lot more of a livable place. And we are not even close to being done with it, but I will say we have greatly enjoyed using it as a family so far, and our puppy Bo absolutely loves it. So our goal in this phase of the backyard makeover was to transform the very back part of the yard. In the first video, I was often saying, don't look at it, we're not done. We had a rickety down broken fence and that all needed to change. So we had a buddy of ours come who's a handyman who does a fantastic job, and he fixed that one panel of the fence that desperately needed fixing. The first step in this video was to completely get rid of the weeds. Remember in the first part of the series, the weeds would not stop. And I said, enough is enough. We need weed barrier. And that's exactly what we did. It's really satisfying to watch this time lapse back and basically see all of the weeds go away and see the barrier put down. We even kept our small little lemon tree that we've been growing there. I do plan to replant it somewhere else, but in full transparency, I have not moved it yet, so it might stay there quite a long time. Once we had the rest of the weed barrier put in place, it was on to the next phase of this makeover. And we bought this really cool kit from Lowe's that basically was this arbor pergola type thing with a swinging bench. Now I will say, when we started building it, it was probably 104, 105 degrees outside. It was a total heat wave. So we did build the bench part inside our home. I know that's a little bit funny. After building the bench, we saw that we really loved it.
We love it.
Excited to move forward, we then went outside to build the main structure of the arbor, I'll call it. Honestly, this part was pretty self-explanatory as long as you follow the directions well. Sometimes we got messed up on what side of the wood connected to which side, and it did matter in the end, but overall, it was really self-explanatory. You did one side, the other, the back and the front, and it came together very nicely. Once we were done with the main part of the frame, we were able to test it and put it in that part of the backyard to see how it would look, and I think it acts as a great focal point. And before you come at me, I know it's not perfectly level right now. I keep going outside and trying to change the dirt to make it more level. We will get there, but I think I just really need to tamp down one side of the ground in order to get it perfectly level. From there, we were able to add some of the more diagonal supports that made it so much sturdier. Doing the top part of the arbor, all of the horizontal and perpendicular slots definitely took quite a long time, and it also at one point became really awkward to figure out where to position the ladder in order to reach that part since we'd already had the arbor kind of backed up to the fence. But we got around it, and I really wanted those pieces to be there because that allows us in the future to grow some trellising, beautiful flowering vine all the way across the arbor, which is absolutely my vision. When it came to actually screwing on the big carabiners that would be holding the chains for the bench, there was one that was absolutely stuck, and we had to get a wrench out, and I barely show it in the videos here, but we were clawing at this thing for so long. We finally got it open, so I don't know if that was a little bit of a defect or not. At least it shows that when it's closed, it is tight. It's not opening up. After working away in the really hot sun, it was time to finally attach the bench to the arbor itself. And it was finally time to test the bench. I will say I was a little nervous because we had built it ourselves. I was worried that I would sit on it and it would collapse all over me, but here's what happened. Honestly, we could have stopped at this point because the arbor looked really good. It provided great seating, and one of the favorite things that we could do was sit in the bench and look out into the yard. Later on, this was really fun to watch our dog play. He was a little scared of the bench at first, but then he got used to it. So we could have completely stopped there, but I wasn't quite done yet. I wanted to add a little bit more to this arbor in order to make it more friendly for plants to trellis up it. So I went to Lowe's and I found this inch by, I believe, 8 feet pieces of redwood, and I bought a big pack of them. We got the redwoods. As always, after getting the wood out of its packaging, the first thing to do was to meticulously measure everything.
44 3/8 about? 44 3/8. 47 and a half exactly. 44.
After all the measuring was done, we brought the pieces of the wood to the saw and we cut everything to length. Now here's where we made the first mistake. We thought it would be fine to attach the pieces one at a time onto the arbor. Now, for the horizontal slats, that was totally fine because we could do a side on each, the front post and the back post, and we could do all of those like that, and it was flush and it was lovely and there was no problem with it. We found that trying to attach the vertical pieces to the horizontal pieces was so challenging because the redwood was so skinny. The 1x1, trying to connect them together basically provided no support, and it was so easy for the wood to break and strip. I got the smart idea to take a paver from our last project and to hold it up behind the wood. It basically helped absorb the shock of the hammer and the nail, so nothing really split. Watching this video back now, I realize how sore I absolutely got holding that paver up while getting it hammered into from the other side. That is an incredible workout. I was not expecting that, but I was incredibly sore the next day. We had the first part of the trellis created and it was looking really good. The next day we were excited to get going and finish the arbor and the trellis on the other sides, but we learned from our mistakes. So instead of putting the vertical slats and the horizontal slats on the arbor one at a time, we decided to develop and measure out the grid on the ground first, attach all of the redwood pieces to each other first, and then move on and attach the whole trellis to the arbor. And that was a much smarter way to do it, and I would recommend doing it that way if you were to repeat this DIY. After the trellis was attached, the arbor was looking so good and I was very proud with what we'd done. It was an incredible arbor. The bench was lovely. We built a trellis for amazing vining plants and we did it all for a fraction of what would it cost to build or to buy something fully made like that or have someone install something like that. So it was a great DIY all in all. We took a mini trip with my father-in-law to get some bougainvillea off Facebook Marketplace. That is a happy father-son duo. And I intended to have those bougainvillea trellis up the arbor and they look so, so good. The problem with that is that bougainvillea can be a little bit temperamental in my area because it can get really, really hot at some times, but it can also get colder in the winter than they're used to. And I found that we needed a place that got just a little bit more sun. So unfortunately, I did have to move those bougainvillea to a different part of our property where they get a little bit better sun and they have better climate to survive. But I could see the vision and I knew I could get roses or star jasmine or some other trellising plant. Before we round out the video on the topic of plants, I did want to share that, as I have often told you guys on this channel, I am not a Mrs. Green Thumb by any way, shape, or form. I have planted and killed so many plants in our backyard. For some reason, plants in my house do really well, but plants outside my house, even with all my apps that I use and getting advice and checking the sun and all that stuff, they do kind of struggle. But since then, and since those first batches of plants that started dying, I got a drip line installed, which was really helpful. And we got some really hardy plants planted along the side of our house and they look fantastic, you guys. So the backyard is really starting to take shape. I love the way that it's looking. We are not even close to being done with this project. Unlike the big studios and huge companies that can do renovations overnight, it feels like this has been months and even years in the making. So there's still so much I want to do in this backyard. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and follow along so you can see how our journey progresses and if we completely transform this backyard or if we completely mess it up in some way. If there's something you would have done differently or a question you might have, please put it below in the comments. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. It just brightens my heart every time I get a notification that someone's commented on my video. I hope you have a great rest of your day and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.